Hey, Klara, Adalena here, getting ready for my life. Wonderful to be here in the space again. We're still working on setting this up better, but for now it's all still going to be manual, so bear with me a few seconds while I set this all up and going and alive and awesome and everything else. So, group. Bringing your awesomeness to dating, getting out of your own way. Dating should be fast and easy and transformational. Now, do we ever think about dating like that? Right? Dating should be fast, easy, and transformational. It should grow you into the woman that you are, into the woman that you will be, holding a relationship, a family. It's a beautiful responsibility, and it's our gift as women to truly hold the space for the family to evolve. It's a skill, an art that we almost forgot how valuable it was. No, we never forgot, but we forgot to name it. Holding the space means creating a space where love can happen, where life can happen. And it's so funny how management is actually giving it back to us. Management is shifting from being the leader and saying what we need to do to being the leader and holding the space for what wants to happen. This is a very feminine quality, and it's funny how things twirl around and we almost lost it, the acknowledgement of it as women in our personal lives. Almost lost it, and then in management they realized, but we need it. And now it's helping more and more of us to reclaim that in our personal lives too. But actually in management, they found it because we found it. No, we are the best, of course. So Michelle, Joanne, good to have you both with me again. And I know you're really on this journey, right? Of learning again to hold that space where dating is a transformational journey. You become into the woman, the beloved, the wife, the partner that you truly are. Nobody is born that way. We are born as kids, right? But we need to become the partners. It's a transformation. And when we get that, dating becomes fast and easy. Because what's really holding you back? It's yourself. We need to get you out of your own way. But when the culture is not mirroring that back to you, then how can you get out of your own way? Lovely, by the way, to see more and more people drop in. Klara, Adalena here at the Love for Life Academy, bringing your awesomeness to dating, getting out of your own way. Dating should be fast, easy, and transformational. And one of the things that we are too little aware of is that dating is also very vulnerable. We know it because there's so much bad things between teenagers that come into the news, right? A girl opening up, showing her body, and the man using it to expose and ridicule her and make himself go up the hierarchical boys ladder. It's an extreme form, but it shows us that this is an area that is vulnerable, right? And what happens inside of us when we enter into an area of vulnerable? Usually we are these badass ladies, right? We are the ones who rock it. We're leading amazing lives. We know what we're doing. We know what we're about. We show up strong and confident, and we get shit done. We have amazing jobs, right? That's us. But not in love. So what is happening here? What is the difference? If you asked yourself that, what would happen if I would show up in my love life the way I do in my work life? And probably your fear is, I would scare every man away. Well, I don't know exactly how you run your work life, but I don't think so. What scares men away is when you get cold, when you get cautious. And when do we get cold and cautious? When we feel it's too vulnerable. There is too much in there that triggers old fears. And then what happens? Our amygdala takes over. It starts to protect ourselves, quote unquote. And that means if the lion faces you, you either fight it or you run or you dig a hole in the ground, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. But love is not a lion. In some ways it is. It can be very exciting and bad, actually, lion power. But love, we have all these associations, and unfortunately we have many negative experiences. And I think we speak about this way too little. We speak about Me Too, but do we still speak about how this affects our dating? And one of the things it does to us, it robs us of our own brain. Now that for a woman who has an amazing brain and who finds part of her confidence in her brain, it's a severe thing, right? And if you've been showing up in love, making the same mistake over and over, going to the same man over and over, that's interesting. It means your brain is not engaged because your brain is great at learning. If your brain would be in there, you would have learned how to get out of that quickly. Well, if somebody would be there to show you the tools, that's another thing that's been lacking. But, your brain is not active in dating because the amygdala is so quickly triggered. And once we get that, we understand what's happening. We get it, why some women are stuck for 20 years in dating. And if you're just starting to date with a new passion, like, I came out of a relationship, hurt already there, do you recognize it? Now I'm opening up to a new one. Chance of being more hurt, amygdala gets triggered. But then it's important that you don't become one of those for whom it's taken 20 years. Because once we're stuck, stuckness just grows on itself, right? We all know that stuckness creates more stuckness. Once you're stuck, it becomes harder exponentially. We don't want to get there. We want to get you fast and easy in a relationship. We can. But you need to understand that one of the things that's been holding you back is your brain not being able to engage. So we need to calm you down. That exorbitant, is that the right word? That huge, way too big, inappropriate fear that comes up when he doesn't text back. We all know it, right? Now, is that your brain speaking? Is that your amygdala speaking? The amygdala is all about survival. That means food and procreation and territory. So when you have found a possible man, the amygdala is on high alert. And when he gives a sign that maybe he's not there after all, the amygdala peaks and starts sending all those messages, depending on what kind of type of woman you are. Do something about it. Act now. Get him back in. Take him by the hairs and pull him back, right? That primal feminine urge. Is it effective? No. On the contrary, that is what scares men away. Would scare me away too, and you away too, right? But that's what happens. And when we see it for what it is, we understand, that's not my brain. That's why I become so foggy. That's why I become so, how do you say that? So tensed around it. Some people go grabbing in a situation like that. Other people go pushing away. Oh, he doesn't text back. I won't text back. cross him out of my diary, cross him out of my life before he crosses me out of my life, right? It's the same instinct, but showing up differently. And then there is the women who are the ostriches, right? Hiding their head in the sand. Oh, he didn't text back, but he's on a journey. And then they have to repeat that 1,000 times to themselves. Because the truth is, he is not texting back, and that's a sign. So that's the kind of silly things we see ourselves doing. And when we understand why this happens, we can do something about it. And one of the first things we need to do about it, of course, is get help. Get an outside perspective. When you're in it, when you're really feeling the lion is coming at you, you will act, right? You will need somebody else who can say like, hey, wait a moment. You think that's a lion, but what is it actually? I remember one time, it was such a huge moment in my life. I was in a training in Devon, UK. And it was not an easy place for me. I didn't really feel comfortable in the group. And only later, much later, did I realize that quite from the beginning, I had a feeling like this is my group. And as soon as any sign came that it was not, boom, amygdala, all the way triggered. So how was I showing up? Terrible. It was a dance event, dance training to be a dance teacher. So I was showing up grabbing. I need these people. I need this connection with you. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Doesn't work well on a dance floor. I was showing up escaping, leaving the room all the time. I needed it. I was going crazy inside. But does that make you a dependable person for others? No. I was trying to hide, not speak about it, pretend everything was fine. Of course, so obvious to others, right? But when you're in it, you think you're doing the best thing. And there was actually one of the leaders who was quite strong with me saying, Klara, show up differently. And I was like, you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. And then, I'm leading up to this moment where I was in a river early morning. I'm an outside person. The group was difficult, so I would wake up early, go by myself to the river, have a swim. It was exciting. It was thrilling. I love excitement. It was a strong current, and there was a sign saying, watch out, strong current, making it even more, flash floods possible. Yes, yes, yes. So I started out going, slightly into the stream and then letting the tide, the current take me back lower and then walk up again. And then I became more courageous and I went to the other side and it was so scary. So I would go, swimming like mad in the Dutch way, right? We don't swim like this, we swim like this. And then one day I was doing that and suddenly my foot hit something. And I realized it was the bottom. And it was such a total, shift in the whole situation. I can't stand in the middle of the river. And here I was being all frantic and proud of myself and everything. And I could just stand in the middle of the river. And so in the flash, I realized the metaphor that was what was happening in the group too. I could just stand there. It was okay. I wasn't drowning. And as I started to realize, something cracked open and I just laughed like a Buddha, laughed. In the cold, in this river, sitting on a rock, naked, early morning, November morning. Didn't matter. I was just laughing. And then that was even more funny. Suddenly the question popped up, why did nobody tell me? And then I realized that one guy, he was telling me all along. You can stand here, Klara, relax. And I had been telling all the time, no, go aside, I'm drowning. I need to go to the other side before I sink. And I laughed for another half hour. A pivotal point in my life. So back to dating, right? When you're in this space of thinking you have to make it to the other side, You're not doing yourself or your partner a favor. You're in your own way. Dating is not happening. And it happens to the best of us, right? Being an amazing alpha woman, earning $1 million a year, whatever, it's not a guarantee that it won't happen to you. It is a guarantee that it's maybe a bit more difficult to admit that it's happening to you. But once you do that, the door opens, right? You realize, okay, my amygdala was totally triggered. I was like Klara in the river, totally thinking I would drown, but I can just stand here. Dating isn't as scary as you think when you know how to do it well. Because when you're in fight, flight, freeze, let's be honest, what do you attract? Fight, flight, freeze. And how does that show up in a man when he's in fight, flight, freeze? Let's look at that a moment. When a man is really on this thing like a survival on the deepest core level, what does he want? Sex. Even before food. Women may even want food before sex. Men want sex before food. Get an offspring. Help the women to get pregnant. Do your duty. So what do you attract? When you're in fight, flight, freeze, you attract those men who are only into sex. Because they are not bad people, usually, but they are triggered by their fight, flight, freeze. And when you want to start attracting different men, you get back into your own brain, right? And then you attract men who are in their own brain. And then it turns out men are really human beings. And they want families and commitment and an amazing woman to come home to, just like you want an amazing man to come home to. So it was for me a kind of a revelation when I really started to understand that the moment we start showing up silly is the moment we lost our brain. And literally, because the amygdala took over. And once we see it, the path is open to do something about it. And we all know once an amygdala is triggered, you can't fight it because that's more of the same. You can't flee it, more of the same. You cannot hide for it, more of the same. So once it's triggered, you can get out. Being really authentic, it's not easy. Asks a lot of courage and knowing and experience and holding. But what is easier is preventing it gets triggered. So what I teach the women in my program is ways of dating that you don't trigger this whole desperate thing. And that may sound very ideal or, paradise fluffy. It's very real. And some of the women here who are listening right now are actually doing it and are experiencing it. And how you exactly do that, I have a whole separate training for it. Do go and watch it. But in just a few words, when we recognize our amygdala is stronger than our best knowing, then we can also recognize that the secret is stronger than the amygdala. So what we do is awakening the sacred feminine in you. And there's many aspects to it. It's not just meditation, though that's a powerful part of it. It's a whole package dealing with everything, with owning the situations, not being the prey, but being the owner. All these kinds of shifts we make. And then dating is such a different experience. One of my clients, Natasha, I've done an interview with her. So if you go into my group, The Art of a Relationship You Love, you can actually watch her. And very real, but very worth. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. She came out of a bad relationship. Father of her parents really, showing up abusive in many ways. So there was a lot of fear. She worked on that. Then she found me and we switched it to this different way of dating which is not about fight, flight, fear, but about being relatable. And now she keeps sharing about this new relationship, how with her man they're really talking about stuff. She just had a weekend when she's sharing. There was the children stayed with the father, who also has a new partner, and it brought up questions about father and who's the father and the new man and the father. And it could so easily have become a very difficult thing, which would drive them apart. Her son was having a moment of, tension around it. Mother could so easily have become protective and think, I need to choose for my son, and it hurts, but I need to push my new partner away. But it doesn't often have to be like that. What they did was talk in a way that calms all this shit down, that calms all this fear and anxiety down. Talk between themselves, Natasha and her new partner, talk with her son, include the sister, really have a good conversation. And the outcome was that the son actually said to the new partner, I'm so glad you're here and you're like a father to me. Right? So we can totally shift all this around. And the more we name the monster, the more the face to the monster. And that's not easy because it's telling us to run and not to stand and face anything. The more we relax and have a holding, a support, a sisterhood, a mentor that can help us do that, that's our secret to dating becoming fast, easy, and transformational. So that's what I wanted to share. And if you want to know more, as always, reach out. I do have these free calls where you can ask, how is this working in my life? I am one of those career women hitting my goals, and I'm not hitting my love goals. And I had it on my list for 2018, and I don't want to take it over to 2019. Well, we can still solve that probably. Fast and easy is what we do here. So if you want to check in with me how that works and exactly what I could mean for you, reach out. Klara@adalena.com/apply. Klara@adalena.com/apply. I always love, even just meeting amazing women who are changing the face of the earth, having impactful jobs, being on a mission. That in itself excites me. And then helping you see where you can shift your love life and what I could mean for you. I love doing that. So don't be shy. Klara@adalena.com/apply. And I forgot to say that this is actually, how do you say that? Interactive, but I don't see any questions, probably because I forgot to say. But if questions do come up, I do check back to these posts typically. So yeah, let's get your brains back, let's get love back, and let's get your life fully happening. Thank you, aloha, and have an awesome day.